Time for another special guest interview now, all the way from the United States of America. I'm joined by John Coinman. Welcome to my show, John. It's nice to have you on board.
Thank you, Danny. I'm glad to be here.
Great. I'm just reading about you. You've had a long musical history. You've got an impressive CV. How long have you been doing music for?
Well, I've been doing it quite a long time. I mean, probably, 50 years, something like that.
Well, that's
Uh,
good going.
in all sorts of different ways. I started out in folk music. I was a big folk guy, and then I spent my music evolved, and I ended up spending um, the entire 1970s up in San Francisco Bay Area, building bands and playing
Mm,
there.
mm.
And then all of the 80s up until about 93 in Los Angeles, building bands and, uh, and publishing and trying to get record deals and all that stuff.
Mm. Have you seen the music industry evolve over the decades, though? Has it changed so much over the years? Have you seen that transition?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's totally different now.
Mm,
And in many ways, it's a lot better. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. People, people will complain about Spotify and about the payments and how difficult it is to get noticed out because there's so much music. But in the older days, I mean, it seems to be like maybe there was once a golden period of music, but it was still uh, really limited to who got record contracts, and you couldn't record yourself
mm.
really unless you just had a little cassette recorder, but that wasn't even around until the 80s. And so, in a lot of ways, I mean, the amount of music, the amount of good music that's coming out right now is pretty amazing. I
Mm.
mean, it's just wonderful to hear I mean, you can go on YouTube and hear these incredible groups that I've never even heard of. And maybe nobody's making a lot of money off of Spotify or, off of Apple or Pandora or any of those
Mm.
streaming groups, but it's still there's a vitality in the music industry that over the whole spectrum, acoustic, bluegrass, country, rock. I mean, there's just an amazing amount of great music out there.
Certainly more opportunities, floodgates opening with it like Spotify, people doing it independently. I wanted to ask as well.
You look at Billie Eilish, for instance.
Mm,
I mean, all that stuff was recorded by her brother in their bedroom.
mm,
I mean,
mm.
some of their first stuff, and so that would have never happened.
And I wanted to ask, where are you in the world right now?
What am I involved in now?
Oh, sorry, where are you in the world right now? Like situated, based.
Oh, I'm in Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, nice, nice, nice part of the world. Phoenix is your capital there. What's the music scene like there in the whole state in
Well,
general?
I don't really know about Phoenix, but Tucson has a really vital music scene. It's a wonderful music scene. I don't, my impression is that Phoenix, Phoenix, yeah, some of my Phoenix friends might disagree with me, but that Phoenix doesn't have a kind of a vital central music scene like
Mm,
Tucson does.
mm.
I mean, Phoenix has had green and red and and they have some other folks up there that are well known, but Tucson has a kind of an iconic music presence in the world, like in the times that I've toured Europe, and people find out that I'm from Tucson. There's this whole thing of desert noir in Tucson, and there's a lot of really good groups here. There's a folk festival here that's one of the longest running free folk festivals in the country. It's really great, and there's some really good clubs and a lot of really interesting bands coming up. Everything from norteño bands to young independent kind of college rockers.
And you're in a band yourself. It's called. I know you work with a band as well. Would you like to just mention that?
Yeah, well, I have a band. I've had one for, or I play solo, and I have a band. and then of course, you know, most people know that I play with Kevin Costner, and he and I and the bass player that I work with right now, we formed a band in LA back in the early 80s, and a band called Roving Boy. And this is a little bit before Kevin became famous. And we had a band together and had a little record deal in Japan. And then he got really famous and couldn't really keep up with the band, and also, you know, keep his family together and everything. And so we stayed in touch but stopped playing. And then we got together again in 2005, and because his life was opening up a little bit more at that point. And we built a new band, and built it out of the guys that I play with, Blair Forward on bass and Larry Cobb on drums. Both of those guys are Tucson guys that we've been playing together for a long time. And Teddy Morgan, our producer and lead guitar player, lives in Nashville now. But Teddy and I met and made a big connection on my Songs from the Modern West album back in 2004. And that became the basis of the new Kevin Costner band. And we took a lot of the songs off of Songs from the Modern West, and used those as sort of like the springboard to get started in the new band. Because the thing with Kevin and my bands is that we always do original music. We don't do covers like a lot of actors. And so we made a lot of great records that a lot of people don't know about. So I have a band here that I play with, and I do solo shows, and I also work with Blair, the bass player friend, partner. And so that's pretty much it.
And then what's the band called? Is it called the Kevin Costner and the Modern West?
Yeah, Kevin Costner and Modern West.
And people can
And
find you on.
We're probably one of the more famous unknown bands in the world, because people come to a lot of people still don't even know that Kevin has a band and that he plays guitar and writes music and sings and stuff. But we've toured. Well, we've never toured England, but we've toured all over Europe several times. Had a record deal there that was quite successful, and we've toured all over the world. And we don't play a lot, but when we do play, we play sold out shows to, you know, we'll sometimes play in music festivals, but most of the time we'll do, you know, 3,000 to 5,000 seat venues in communities, and sell out. So, and people always go, Kevin Costner has a band?
Just reading here, it's also known as KCMW as well. So just to abbreviate the band's name.
KCMW, yeah.
You've also got a single out as well. This is your 5th solo effort. It's called Find That Girl.
Yeah.
Are you able to just tell me a little bit more about that song, please?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm working with a really great group, a label out of Nashville called Creative and Dreams Music Network, run by Rose Drake and Freddie Cannon. And they discovered my music when they were looking around for music to acquire, or to artists or writers to work with. And they initially got me on their roster and on their label as a writer, primarily to write with some of their artists. And I've been doing that, but it became apparent during that time, because of all of my music videos that I've made, that they could start releasing my stuff as an artist. And so we've released I don't know, 4 or 5 songs right now, and Find That Girl's the last one. And it's it's kind of I'm usually more of a lyrically story-oriented kind of writer. Find That Girl's a little bit different, but it's got a lot of my roots from the 60s, early 70s. It's in it, the sound, the kind of the rhythm, the 12-string guitar in there that Teddy Morgan put in. It's got a great uplifting, for me anyway, a great uplifting feel to it. And we made I think, a wonderful little video featuring another songwriter, a friend of mine, Alana Sweetwater, who I've written. She's a Tucson artist, but is living in LA now. And she's featured in the video she's beautiful, and she doesn't sing in the video or anything, but she's featured as an actress, so to speak. And so anyway, we've started releasing songs of mine with me as the artist, and my kind of they're unusual, sort of, they're not the usual kind of music videos, and so it's been pretty successful. We've gotten on the Heritage chart a lot, and I've never got to a number one, but I've got up to number
Hmm.
4, and so Deuce Music is they're promoting stuff from Freddie and Rose's label, Creative Dreams, and so this interview is kind of a direct result of them promoting, and the song itself, "Find That Girl," is it's an older song of mine, but the interesting thing is it's from my perspective anyway, and also from our label's perspective, it's kind of a timeless song. You don't think of it as being
Hmm.
a song that's an older song, but it's got for me, a great uplifting modern kind of feel, even though it's an older song.
Also wanted to ask you, people can vote on the Heritage chart for this song as well, to get it a bit more, get it more
Yeah,
up the charts.
yeah, yeah. It got up to number 12, and then couldn't sustain it
Mm,
anymore. And there's a lot of really great people in the Heritage
mm,
chart now.
mm,
Mike Reed's done a great job with
yeah.
that, and it's a really interesting voter-driven chart, and it's a chart, for me. It's just a way to continue to build the fan base in the rest of the world, because there's, I think, over 80 countries that end up listening to it and watching it and voting on it. And the other thing I like about the Heritage chart is that it always involves a video, and I'm a real music video guy. And I had with a couple of songs of mine, like this song "Long Way from Home," um, I won in the Procida International Film Festival in Italy. I won the best music video on that, and won another film festival video here in the States. So
Um,
the Heritage chart likes videos, likes music videos, and I like making them. So it's a great combination for me.
yeah. One final thing I've got time to ask you. You had an input with the film Dances with Wolves as a music supervisor.
Uh-huh.
Was that with the soundtrack with Days Like Thunder with Maria McKee? What was that experience like?
With being a music supervisor,
Yeah. It-
yeah, it was pretty amazing. Um, I mean, I got involved on it because of my involvement with Kevin, and also my my oldest best friend, Michael Blake, who I knew back in New Mexico in the 60s. He was the guy who wrote Dances with Wolves, and another friend, Jim Wilson, produced it. And so I was kind of a natural fit to be the music supervisor. And I don't write scores or anything, although had some music and film. Uh, but I was hired on to just to help find a composer, and also to there was a number of music licensing things that we needed to work with, and then also Kevin was really adamant about making sure that the Native American, the Lakota dances and the music was authentic to that period of time, and and he didn't know, he didn't know anybody to help him do that, and it was kind of funny to hire a white guy to go, to try to figure that out. But I worked with the Porcupine Singers, and eventually found through them found the original Buffalo dance and the original victory dance of the Lakota Sioux, and also some of the original ways that they danced, which are very different than the modern ways. And
Yeah,
so
yeah. I just wanted to ask you.
Anyway, it was a great experience.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, did John Barry as well have get involved with the film as well?
Yeah, well, originally we had another guy scheduled to do it. That was Basil Polidorus, he did Lonesome Dove, and Basil and I had gotten together many times, and he was committed to doing the film, and actually had a more organic kind of approach to the music. And then I think we never quite figured it out, but toward just when he was supposed to go in earnest and work on the film, he quit, and and we figured it was because Dances with Wolves was getting a lot of bad press around Hollywood. People were calling it Kevin's Gate, as a kind of a joke, because Heaven's Gate was a really over budget Western that was a big box office flop. And everybody was kind of, not everybody, but there were a large group of film people that figured that it was going to be a huge flop and wanted it to be a flop. And so we think that Basil bailed on the music because of that sort of bad press surrounding it. And both Kevin and I have always liked John Barry's music and had used some of it in the temp track. And he had been ill and had kind of been semi-retired, but agreed. We approached him, and he agreed to come on board and do the music. And then, of course, the rest is history, because he won an Academy Award for the music. So,
well, thank you very much for sharing.
To be a part of that.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show and sharing your experiences, with your experience in the film industry. Also, a new single as well. I'm going to play on my show now. Would you just like to introduce it on?
All right. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, so your new single now is called Find That Girl. Would you just like to introduce it on?
Oh, so you want me to introduce it?
Yeah, please, go for it.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Sorry, Danny. I'm having a little trouble hearing. I don't know what's going on with my speakers here. But this is John Coinman. I'm really happy to be on Danny's son's show. And here's my song, Find That Girl.
It's been a great chatting with you this afternoon here in the UK.
All right, thank you, Danny.
You're welcome.